Hello, my beautiful people. Welcome to, I'm sorry, I got to fix that title on there. It's part 2.5. I put part 3 on here. Okay, I'm going to have to fix this. Nora Finch here again, and I am calling this part 2.5 of the Being Influenced by Outside Noise because I really feel that it is important and essential for me to read to you from one of my favorite books. And actually, I use this as part of my material in any of my coaching stuff that I already do on my YouTubes, mostly, spiritual, sort of going within psychoanalyzing type stuff. Okay, so you can refer to, and in my other, I think my book excerpts playlist, you'll see it mentioned a couple times. Okay, The Power of Oneness, Live the Life You Choose with Sandra Brossman. Okay, and I am reading from this because we just talked about the steps and different things in terms of forgiving ourselves and why that is so important. Okay, class? Because again, from my perspective, I don't really know along my journey that it was anything about this. I don't know. I don't think I understood how to put it together, even if somebody had tried to explain to me. Um, I just think it's really well said in this book, and it goes over a lot of things. I'm not going to read to you the entire chapter because of not only your attention span, but I'm not going to do it right now. I may decide, because I do want you to hear it, to read it later to you at another time and maybe put it up on the playlist. I mean, maybe later today. I don't know. Okay. So one of the reasons why I love this book so much is just the amount of detail. Okay. So this is chapter 5, Opening to Change. And what it's going to go over in the entire chapter is why pain is a messenger of truth, why we experience it, why it's essential to release it, how to do that, what and why is it so hard, and is it important to remember the past also as well. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and read to you bits and pieces that I feel like can get through and be summarize. I guess I was going to say be simple, but summarize. Okay, so chapter 5. In order for our world to evolve to a society centered around spiritual integrity, we have to heal the past, beginning with our own personal lives. As we discussed in Chapter 2, we can create new realities by expanding our perceptions to a higher perspective. However, the only space and time in which we are able to make choices is in the spiritual reality of the moment. More often than not, we are not functioning in the present because our minds are preoccupied with thoughts based on emotional wounds and prejudices of past relationships and experiences. Isn't that the truth? Staying focused on the past crowds the mind with negative thoughts and blocks the flow of our creative energy, resulting in stress, pain, and disease. When we predominantly invest the energy of our thinking on events and people from the past, we feel stuck and powerless to change our lives. Yet our human tendency is to tenaciously hold onto past behavior patterns, no matter how painful, simply because we fear change. Again, so well said. We can once we have faced these fears, we can free ourselves from our bondage to the past through the process of forgiveness of others, ourselves and others. Forgiveness is by far the most powerful tool we have to release our attachment to painful associations from the past. It's so funny, interesting, right? When I'm going to talk a little bit in between these things sometimes, is that it's so simple when you hear somebody say that, like, duh, but at the same time, because a lot of us learn just with time, I guess, to say, like, I don't know, getting over something, but time does help and heal, right? But there is something, I guess, just in being human, in the whole reverting to that thought pattern of past, future, past, future, past, future, future, past, future, past. And you just keep going through this loop, right? And maybe that's normal for you. I know that's normal for me. And so being present and can be really challenging for me, even as much as meditation that I've done all of these years. And that's why I also encourage different types of meditation that will just keep you present. Like, I am here. I am here. I am washing dishes. I am taking a shower. I am walking. There's different types of things that will get you in that meditative state. And I know for me, focusing on a task like making jewelry or doing things with my feather things, these headband type things and things for my hair that I make, that really keeps me focused. Okay. So know that about yourself. What would work for you? Okay. Next page, like I said, I'm going to skip over things and I might actually even summarize, but I want to bullet these, okay, in case you were ever wondering, why do we fear change so much? You know, and you hear people saying they don't like to be uncomfortable, right? You like to stay in comfort. Okay, and I like to ask in that situation, like really, like what's the worst that can happen? You know, I like to say lean into the uncomfortable, right? I like that saying. Okay, why do we fear change? Okay, basic level. Generally speaking, our greatest fear is of the unknown. Interestingly, it isn't the actual situations we experience that cause us to feel terrified nearly so much as our fearful anticipation of worst case scenarios, right? And that my favorite acronym, false evidence appearing real. Okay? I'm going to read this part. I wasn't going to, but I'm going to. The changes we fear are only limited by our imagination. Fear of the lack of success and fear of success. Fear of not being loved and fear of being loved. Fear of losing a job and fear of staying stuck in a job. Fear of not being married and fear of getting married. Fear of not being accepted by a college and also of being accepted. And the list goes on. And even if you didn't go to college, right? So it tends to be something we want everyone else to do. If we hold to this idea, our lives become a series of ifs. If only so and so would be nicer to us, we would feel better. If our boss would change, we would like our jobs more. If our spouse would change, our marriages would improve. While all this may be true, it is irrelevant because we can only change ourselves. When we avoid taking responsibility for changing ourselves, we are placing virtually everyone else in charge of our lives, which is many times the very thing we fear most. Okay, so it goes on and on and on, talking about what we resist persists. So the most effective way we can handle it is becoming aware of what we fear. Okay, so why we fear change. This is a really good chapter. You really should just get this book. I'm telling you, people. Okay, so we want to feel safe. I'm going to bullet talk. We want to feel safe. We don't have the courage or strength. We want to be comfortable. We don't want to experience confusion. We want to avoid pain. Okay, and this is very important to going into how does pain serve as a messenger, powerful messenger of truth? And I've always believed this just from my own just young, I don't know, pain gave me information. Okay, so this gets our attention. Pain is like indicator lights and alarms in our cars indicating something is wrong. Chances are we ignored some pretty obvious clues before the panic lights came on, such as getting gas, changing the oil, or having our battery recharged. So this is the same in our personal lives. After we experience all these mental, emotional, physical pain, many times we experience it only after we have ignored all the warning signs. How often do we abuse ourselves by not paying attention to the subtle messages that come in whispers to trust our intuition, relax more, exercise more, eat nutritiously, spend more time with our families, or forgive someone? If we continue to ignore these messages, the symptoms escalate until we are forced to pay attention due to a major mental, emotional, or physical crisis. Like the indicator lights, pain is not a permanent condition in and of itself. It's a symptom telling us we are sensing something in our lives that is not coinciding with our inner truth. When we live in harmony with our spiritual values, our energy is balanced and we feel at ease. When we are not living in concert with our spiritual values, our energy is out of balance and we feel pain and disease. Okay, and she goes on and on, which is something that I've already mentioned about what happens in the body with stuck emotions. Remember? Okay. Pain serves many surface purposes. But the bottom line is that it makes us more receptive to change by alerting us to the urgent need to release something in our past that is blocking our spiritual growth. And right there again, Bruce Lee says that basically pain and frustration is a means of growth. Otherwise, we'd have no incentive to want to grow ourselves. So it's true, right? There's not, I mean, I don't know. I could go on and on. Okay. So goes on and on talking about the essential, why is essential to release the past. What is forgiveness specifically? Do you need to be in the physical presence of whom you want to forgive? No. I mentioned that before with the letter writing. I mentioned why is this essential? And then I want to get to where do you begin? Okay, in the healing process, this is page 106. Because all healing begins within, forgiveness of others begins with forgiveness of self. The way we act towards self lays the foundation for our actions towards others. So when we forgive ourselves, the pathway for forgiving others is opened as well. It is not, the issue here is not of who is right and who is wrong. It's about forgiving ourselves for holding on to self-defeating thoughts that are causing us pain. So why continue to punish ourselves every day by continuing to experience wounds of the past? Again, I don't know that a lot of us are thinking that we are causing ourselves pain, especially if it almost becomes normal and routine and a daily thought. Okay. So it's almost like you have to step outside of yourself and like look at how much of your day or your time that you spend thinking about certain repetitive thoughts that aren't serving you, right? It could just be recreating memories in relationships. And again, that example of Jason and Melissa, again, like obviously it was a big deal for him to be basically holding on and still talking about it, all these times. Again, I don't know the details of what he went through. Okay, so the end of this part, I love this, reading this. When we withhold forgiveness and choose to ignore the messages which come to us in the form of relationships, the universe will continue to present us with people and circumstances presenting the same theme until we become aware of what we need to know. It is though we are in a play and the same actor exits and comes back on stage again wearing a new costume. I love that. Everywhere we turn, we see the same face in a new outfit. Once we understand our message, the emotional gridlock we are experiencing generally disappears, right? But you have to be conscious. You would even have to know. You would have to know. And this is why I said sit down with the goddamn piece of paper and look at the patterns my breaking pattern series. Look at the patterns of whatever it is that you are doing in your life. If you just see with your visible eyes, like, okay, I keep doing the same thing. Like, why? Why am I doing this? Like, this isn't fun. This isn't what I want, right? Lastly, okay, this is good. Lastly, so we can get right to it. I already gave you the examples of the questions. I know I just gave you some basic ones to start. So these are just some other things, okay? How can we send out thoughts of forgiveness? Forgiveness is like any form of thought, can be consciously chosen. While it can seem difficult at first, the more we practice forgiveness, the more natural it becomes. When we see the positive effects that forgiveness manifests in our lives, we begin to feel better about everyone, especially ourselves. And forgiveness, if you look at it from the perspective of like making a mistake, right? So you're angry at yourself for making a mistake. Jason maybe is angry at himself for not speaking up or whatever it was, even though he had to go through these things, right? Even though hopefully he's at that point that he can still appreciate, I guess, what happened and that, things have worked out. Again, I don't know his story completely. I hope to find out, but just that there were very important lessons. And that's what happens when the soul comes into this world. Each one of us has certain lessons to learn. Okay. And hopefully in the end, you end up realizing that you did learn through those lessons, like what it did for your soul and that it needed to be done. And hopefully, if it was important to him, he found another love in his life or whatever to help, right? To help fulfill, or at least again, love himself, because that's why I just try to stress so much on the whole stressing on not thinking it's all about finding the one, because you need to be at peace with yourself, regardless of somebody having somebody or not having somebody, meaning 24/7. Okay. And again, like that's for another show. So, this exercise in being patient with yourself and cultivating new habits, I can give you a bunch of different things to do, including journaling, but what are you going to do? Okay, so these are some more examples. So, clearing away your anger, beginning with a catharsis of sort. I don't even know what that means. Okay. Trying to forgive someone without first venting your feelings of pain is like trying to seal a potential volcanic eruption with a band-aid. There is usually a lot of energy that needs to be released before the wound can heal. So talk with someone who is a compassionate listener. Write your feelings down. I mentioned this, right? Write a letter to the person. You don't have to send the letter. Okay. And remember that you're doing this for yourself because you deserve to be free of pain. Okay. And in charge of your own feelings. So this is exactly what already that I've recommended. And I've done this many times. This has helped me. Okay. Releasing the need to judge who is right and who is wrong. Right. Chances are excellent that each person involved is certain that they are right. But continue to think this way only perpetuates more negativity and resolves nothing. Okay. So I think in the forgiveness part, not expecting that as a result, when you do, I guess let's just say, I was going to say, if you expect them. If you want to vent, we're going to use this example. If you want to vent and actually tell somebody how you feel, say, for instance, they hurt your feelings or whatever it is, and you are expecting them to feel bad or even to do that at all, I think that's where you're going in, I don't want to say a wrong direction, but for me, when I did that with my mom, I did not expect that. My feelings were hurt when you did that. Oh, her reaction was, well, it made you stronger, right? And then it just got quiet. Like, that's not really the answer that I wanted, but I felt so much better and I felt at peace. And that took me till like 30s, like late 30s. Anyway, okay. So I do feel at peace. I was able to do that before her passing. Okay. So seeing the other point of view, of course, always, and remembering that forgiveness is a two-way street and it's not something we do only for others. Just request it for our own transgressions against. We just need to request it. So it's so much easier to remember who has hurt us, yet many times the best way to move away from the self-perception of an innocent victim is just to focus on the people whom you have wronged and from whom you need forgiveness. Okay, did that really make sense? Okay, just understanding that it's a two-way street. Okay. Envision whom you need to forgive by whom you need to be forgiven as you send out kind thoughts. It's a mutual blessing and always includes self. It's simply I release both myself and you to the infinite power of unconditional love. As I focus on my own light within, I also see the light within you. You can simplify that more, people, if that doesn't resonate with you. I forgot to say always in my shows, just take what resonates with you and whatever does not, get rid of it, toss it. So this could just simply be written, I release both myself and you to the power of love, right? Unconditional love. Okay. Persist through negative thoughts. Anytime the thought occurs, immediately say something in your internal dialogue again, modify for you to anything. Okay. I'm just going to give you an example. I release these negative thoughts and see that we experience peaceful resolution. Or I surrender my thoughts to the source of love and light and repeat it like a mantra over and over again. Okay? Shift your intention. It does not matter if your intentions At first, your intentions are kinder than your feelings. Thought precedes form. As you shift your intention, the energy of forgiveness will manifest in your physical reality. Unconditional love is the most powerful energy in existence, and you will eventually come to believe and experience the feelings of what you're saying. And what's going to happen with this, people, is the more intention, the more feeling you put into this, you can get emotional. You maybe not even thought that you were a crier or whatever, but that's how you know you're connecting with yourself and you're connecting with spirit, source, God, universe, whatever you want to say, okay? That's why all of this stuff, everything I've gone through, I'm going to say it's intentional thought and prayer that has helped me through this entire thing. And I constantly ask for help, even if it's just to bring somebody into my life to help me with these things, okay? Because I want it so bad to get over these things or heal from them now, whatever you want to say, right? Manage them. So just choose to continue sending thoughts of kindness, and you're just going to increase your capacity and all the blessings that are going to come into your life as a result of healing and forgiving yourself, okay? And you just expect it, that it's going to happen, and it will. And you thank you, give gratitude. These things will happen if your intention is pure and you come from love and you want to. It's almost like after all of this, I have become a master of just what I need to do. And even when I do things or my prayer thoughts or whatever, I'm like, I didn't really even go that deep. I feel like I wasn't that serious. Maybe I need to like do something deeper and just more. That's how I feel sometimes. So this is one of the greatest gifts. Forgiving ourselves frees us. Basically, we can choose new perceptions. And again, if you want to, if I were to say this is a form of suffering, just because, like we, personally have to live with ourselves, right? And so if you're having a lot of repeated thoughts that basically get you nowhere, there's no finality. I get however you pronounce that word, finality, in whatever it is you're thinking about. If you keep reverting to the past and regret and all these list of all these different emotions we've been talking about, regret, guilt, all these sorts of things, and I don't know. I think it's a form of suffering, and I really don't want to suffer, because while there's so much in this life to be discouraged, disappointed about, and angry about, while I am here, I'd like to enjoy it on a certain level, which is why happiness and the different phases of happiness and things like that, I'm still kind of learning, because it kind of goes up and down. And what is fun, I know when I'm laughing, I'm having fun and I'm happy, but I don't watch enough comedies. I don't do these different things. So, yes, ending this episode, the book Power of Oneness, Sandra Brossman. It is one of my favorite books in life, and I think it's very well written. I'm sure it's on Audible. I like paper copies myself. But again, just wanted to close in saying, take what resonates with you, whatever I talk about. I know that I have the potential to trigger certain things in people, and definitely those first responders. By the way, we can all be first responder, but they're just more specifically trained. So use that reference a lot to be paramedics, firefighters, cops, right? And all the other people, high stress in those careers, dispatch, nurses, doctors, all those people that help take care of us. Take what resonates with you. Please like my videos if they are things that interest you and you maybe want to hear more of, or you just appreciate them, or whatever it is.